Good morning, everybody. How are you? I hope you're well. Let me adjust that just a little bit there. How are we? Welcome back to another edition of Cooking with Coach Kezza. I apologize, I am a little sick today still, just recovering from having the flu for a couple of days. Adjust that slightly again. But I'm feeling much better. And so I thought, let's still continue with the live today. I promised it to you, and I've been dying to cook this for you. So why not? Let's just continue to do that today. See how we go. I'll be keeping my water here on hand because I'm going to need it. Okay, today what I'm making for you. Just a moment. In case you hadn't heard, I'm a big fan of Plant You that I bought. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I actually bought it back in February and it finally arrived. So today I'm going to be making the taco meat that is on this front cover picture, which is the 10-minute tacos. If you've got the book, you'll find the recipe on page 148. Here we go, right here. All right, but I'm going to make a few minor additions, alterations to it because I like to do that with recipes. I'll take somebody else's idea and then I'll be like, all I know how I can make it better. So I'm going to talk you through that. I'm going to be making that, plus I'm going to be adding my own cheese sauce to it. Okay, so if you don't have my cheese sauce recipe, if you're in the group, just search for cheese sauce and you will find it. And I'm also going to be making a guacamole, which I'm pretty sure recipe will be in the group somewhere as well. Both of those recipes, by the way, cheese sauce and guacamole, are both in my ebook. So if you don't have that, make sure you get a copy. If you search for recipes in this group, you will find a link to it somewhere. All right. It may also be under guides. If you don't have it, just drop me a note and I'll send it to you as well. All right, so I've got your comments on here. So, hi Nadia, hi Tammy, hi Dusty, hi Wendy, hi Sandy. Wendy, yeah, I saw you'd ordered your book. Oh, Nadia, yeah. The bolognese was amazing, and as was the lasagna. Okay, all right, might have to try those too. I've only tried, I think, about 3 recipes from the book as well. I'm trying to get to Dr. B's book as well. Okay. Right, so what I'm going to be using today, apart from my trusty old knife, I've got a saucepan at the back here with water. I'm going to be using my big fry pan for basically just reheating, and I'm going to be using my food processor, my air fryer, and my NutriBullet. So I like to keep things pretty simple. I don't like to use too many things because, I don't like to do too many dishes. And I don't often use my food processor, but today we're going to use that. So what I'm going to do to start with is prep the actual taco meat. So always loves falling apart. Bring this over here so you don't have to keep stepping backwards and forwards. So what I'm going to do to start with is literally just chuck a bunch of stuff into here. I'm putting a whole 400-gram can of beans into here. These have been they've been rinsed. So I'm going to put that in there. I've got roughly two cups of mushrooms here, probably a little more. Now, my alteration to Callie's recipe is the black beans. I love black beans. I think they should be in any taco mix. So, and I actually found them to be a really beautiful addition when I tried that out. And so what I'm going to be doing, Carly's recipe calls for 2 cups of mushrooms. So what I'm going to do is add just slightly more. So I think what I've got here is probably more like 3 cups of mushrooms. I'm not even going to measure it. I'm just kind of doing it by feel because I've done this a few times, but it works out to be sort of roughly 2.5 to 3 cups of mushrooms. I'm just cutting those up nice and roughly. We don't need to spend too much time cutting them. This recipe is so quick. Oh, and what I'm going to do is actually get my water boiling at the back. I'll get that started. That's for the cheese sauce. Haven't made my cheese sauce yet. Must. It is so delicious. Just going to throw those all in there. The other addition that I make to this recipe is onion. Why? Because the first day I made this, I actually had some leftover onion. So why not? And I liked it. So it was good. Next time I made it, excuse me, I added a little more. So there we go. Alright, that is the mushrooms in. Now, it's about, Carly uses about a cup and 2 tablespoons of walnuts. But because I've got all those beans in there, I still want that walnutty taste to come through. So I'm going to use about 1.5 cups. I'm just going to up it slightly. There we go. Don't need to be too fanatic about it. It's all good. Okay, and then the addition of the onion. Now, first what I'm going to do is reserve some of this onion for my cheese sauce. That's the first thing I'll do. What I need is 1/4 of a cup of onion for my cheese sauce. So let's get that out of the way first. And I'm going to cut that up fairly small because when I put it into the cup, what I don't want is a whole heap of space and not a lot of onion. And then all the remaining onion will go into the taco mix. Now what I was going to make the tacos with today, the nachos with today, was going to be, normally you'd have it with corn chips, right? There's 1/4 cup of onions that I will reserve, and so that leaves just over half an onion. So normally you'd have nachos with corn chips, and I was going to replace the corn chips with potatoes today, but I had a second think. Onions. Had a second think about that, and because this is such a quick recipe, and to cook potato wedges in my air fryer is probably going to take 30 minutes. This recipe will probably be much less than that. So I decided to change the base. So bear with me. I'm changing it to, I've got some corn tacos, they're oil-free corn tacos, and we're going to cut those up and make them into chips. Please excuse me here. I do need to use a tissue. This is my kitchen. Thankfully you won't be eating my food. The joys of being sick. Okay. So we've got all the dry ingredients in here. Now we need to get our wet ingredients in. And we've got, Carly's recipe calls for 2.5 tablespoons of tamari. So I'm going to put a little bit more than that in. So 2.5, 2.5. I'm actually going to put 3 because we've got the beans in there as well, the beans and the onions. There we go. 3 tablespoons of tamari, and then it's 1.25 teaspoons of cumin. So this is my half teaspoon because it can get through the container. So instead of 1 1/4, I'm actually going to put 1 1/2 and see how we go with that. I think that worked quite well last time. And these I'm putting in generous halves as well. A little bit heaped, so probably a bit more than 1 1/2. All right. Has anyone got any questions? Oh, Tammy, you just ordered the book. Great. Yes, awesome. And then I forgot to get this out for him. Carla uses chili powder. I'm not a great fan of chili powder myself. I've got a really hot chili powder, and I don't like things too hot. I like a bit of spice, a bit of heat, but not too hot. She wants 3/4 of a teaspoon. So what I'm going to do is use a teaspoon of this Master Foods chili paste. And I'm going to use a generous teaspoon as well. So that's not too hot. I like adding this chili paste to things like tomato dishes, curries and things like that. It's a nice sort of gentle heat. All right, so now that taco meat mixture is ready to go, don't do this to me. Okay. This is not what we want. It's knocked this thing off its center, and our food has got caught underneath it. It's not the best food processor in the world. Hopefully that will work. Oh, and we're mixing this up so that I was going to bring a cord and do it over here so you could see me, but we're going to blend this up so that it is still reasonably chunky. Last time I made this, I blended it a little bit too much, and so I had more of a. It still had some chunks in it, but not enough. And I really like to. I like to get the crunch from the walnuts coming through. So I'm going to try and get it to the right consistency this time, not take it too far. So let's just have a go. So not too long in the food processor. Take my spatula and give it a mix around. It's looking good. Needs just a little more, I think. Good texture. Okay, I think that'll probably be fine. You can see that. You can see there's still quite a lot of texture in that meat. Okay, ooh, what caught meat. Crazy. Anyway, some of the beans are still fairly whole. The mushrooms have been torn up. The onions have been grated nicely. It's amazing it doesn't take long. But the walnuts are still nice and chunky and crunchy. So all I'm going to do now is tip that straight into this pan and get that pan onto heat. And this makes a lot of mixture, guys, like lots. If you've got a decent-sized family, this will feed you all. There's a lot of food here for one person. I might have to have a dinner party. If anyone wants to come over. All right, there we go. I'm going to turn that on. Let's do a nice low heat. Get that cooking. All right, and now my water at the back here is boiling. So we want to start getting to work on the cheese sauce. Probably put that water on a little early actually, but anyway, it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut off the imperfections from the potatoes first, and I want a cup and a quarter of peeled potato, and I want to cut it fairly small. Actually, I will turn that water off just for the moment. We'll turn it down so that it's not going to all boil away. Now, as I am cutting these skins off, I'm cutting them reasonably chunky. Why, you might ask? Why am I not using a potato peeler and cutting it nice and fine? Because I can chuck these in the air fryer and make chips from them, and then dunk it in the cheese sauce. It makes a really nice snack. So, always thinking ahead, no waste. Well, trying to waste as little as possible anyway. Okay, so that's how we're going to do this. Do it that way. Now I do want to cut the, again, I want to cut these nice and small. One, it's going to save cooking time. And two, it means that when I put them into my cup, there's not a lot of air. I'm actually filling that cup with potato, and I'm getting the right measurement. So for me, this usually works out to be just over one potato, depending on the size of the spud, of course. I'll do what I can to chop as much of it together as I can. Okay. What's everyone been up to? What else is everybody cooking at the moment? I'm really keen to hear what you guys are enjoying at the moment. Who are some great chefs or websites that you've been following yourself? I'm really keen to get some new ideas myself. As much as I love all the recipes that I have, you know, just like anybody, we tend to go back to what we know. We tend to go back to tried and true, not necessarily because we love it, because it's familiar, because it's easy, because we know it like the back of our hand. We don't have to think about it, right? But that does get us stuck in a bit of a rut sometimes, and then we start to get bored. We want some newness. The different parts of our brain that want familiarity and comfort, and there's the other part of our brain that wants change and newness and excitement. Right, so we do need a bit of both. Okay, so there's one cup down, and we want the other quarter cup, which is at the moment filled with just a little bit short here actually. Should have chosen a bigger second spud. Maybe not. Alright, that'll do. That's perfect. That one's slightly over, so yeah, that'll do. Okay, so we've got those, and then we want half a cup of cashews. What we're going to do is put all of these just into that boiling water. Water boiling again. Oops, that's really going. And the great thing is, because we have already got that, we've cut those potatoes up small, they won't take long to cook. Onions in, and then half a cup of cashews. Now, with the cashews, with this recipe, they are completely interchangeable with white beans, whether that's cannellini beans or any sort of white bean. So in my recipe book, I think I list quarter of a cup of white beans and quarter of a cup of cashews. You can make it half a cup of white beans or half a cup of cashews. So it's a half a cup between the two of them. I've just chosen to do cashews today. If you do cashews, it's higher fat, but it's creamier. If you do white beans, it won't be as creamy, but it'll be much lower in fat. Now, I've chosen to do cashews today simply because I didn't want to open a whole tin of beans and then potentially not use them. I've got a whole heap of other things in my fridge I need to use first, so I didn't want to add white beans to the mix. So I'm just going to use cashews because I always have cashews on hand, so here we go. Those in with the water as well. So I think in my recipe I said to pre-soak the cashews. You don't need to do that. Just put them in with the boiling mixture there, and that will make them nice and soft and easily blended. Okay, so and you can probably hear over here that the taco mix is starting to heat up over here. It looks really good, actually. It's nice and chunky. But because there's lots of it, it's going to take a little while to heat up, but I do want to just keep an eye on it. I don't want it to get dry while everything else is cooking. None of it's going to take long though. So it's going to be nice and quick. Excuse me. All right, next step, I want to prep the next part of my cheese sauce. I'll do that straight into my NutriBullet. This is where we put all the dry ingredients, and I just need to clean my spoons because we need these. So into here we'll be putting 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and then a half teaspoon each. I've got some iodized salt. I like to get a little bit of iodine. And some garlic powder, and a sprinkling of paprika. Another stir. Just stay on top of your taco mince so that it doesn't dry. But adding the onion into this mixture, as well as the mushrooms, mushrooms as they cook, they naturally release all of their liquids. And adding the onion in there makes it a little bit more moist as well. Okay, so we've done those. We'll probably put them away. So we've got nutritional yeast. Here we go. 4 tablespoons. 1, 2. Let's see, I'm fairly generous with my measurements. Everything with me is a little bit of this, bit of that. Chuck it in. I learned from Jamie Oliver. I like the way he cooks. I'll do my sprinkling of paprika, just a little bit of a sprinkle, not really measured. Half a teaspoon, that's definitely a fresh pack there, of garlic salt, not garlic salt, sorry, garlic powder. It's definitely a difference. You don't want to put more garlic salt in there. And then just the iodized table salt, half a teaspoon again. Now I don't use much salt in my cooking, you'll notice, so I tend to not feel too guilty whenever I do. Okay, and then squeezing, this is a nice juicy lemon. So I usually tend to find I get about a tablespoon of juice from half a lemon, if it's a good lemon. So that's almost, sorry, I get a tablespoon. So that was almost a tablespoon. I just want to squeeze it with 2 hands now and get the rest out. I didn't want to spill it everywhere. Okay. So that is probably totally the rest. Okay, and then what we add to this, when the potatoes are cooked through, what we do is we add a cup of that stock from the potato, onion and cashew mix into here, and that becomes the liquid that we blend all of that with. So over there, let's just get rid of those spoons. Let's get rid of anything that is superfluous to us at the moment. I'm going to get these potato peelings out of the way at the moment. I'm not going to cook them just yet. We'll do that. I'll do that later. Cups out of the way. Spices and herbs, all of that out of the way. Which can go out here. Okay, so they are done. The next thing to start working on is the guacamole. Making just a very simple one today. Avocado, tomato, red onion, lime juice. With a sprinkling of coriander. Now, coriander is like iceberg lettuce over here. It's rare. It's probably very expensive. I don't remember what I paid for this. But this tiny little plant was the only thing I could find between 3 supermarkets here in my neighbourhood. Everywhere else is out, and they've been out for a while, so I think I was actually quite lucky. I was actually getting prepared to make my guacamole or this whole recipe without coriander. Alright. Oh, Tammy, lemon quinoa with spring vegetables. Oh, you're gonna have to post a recipe, girl. Alright, so very easy. I've got a couple of very small avocados here. If you haven't been taught this trick yet, the way to tell if an avocado is ripe is you look at the color of, I guess, the little hole once you've removed the little whatever you call it, the stalk. If it's green, it's good to go. Hello, darling. Here's the cat. If it's brown, it's gone bad. It's gone off already. And look at that. Perfect. A perfect avocado makes me happy. Alright, then I'm just going to scoop it all out. Delish. Into my dish. I'm just going to use one at a time. Oh yeah. Have you learned how to get rid of the seed? Fingers either side. Push from the back. Out it comes. No sliced fingers. No harm done. No humans harmed in the process. I once knew someone whose, I think, brother? I can't remember who it was. Brother sliced their finger. Actually, no, actually their hand, doing the whole avocado thing. Okay. Just check how things are going back here. We don't want to let this go. I'm going to turn my taco mix down slightly. It's looking rather hot. Don't want it to burn. Oh, I can see those little specks of chili floating through it too. It's beautiful. It's hot. And I'm just going to test the potatoes as well, see where they're at, because this really doesn't take long. Not quite. It's good because we need to get this done. Okay, lime. Do you have one of these? A lime juicer, citrus juicer. These are amazing. Just when you thought you could squeeze all the juice out of your citrus fruit, you get one of these and you realise that you've been not doing it right. You've been leaving all the juice behind. As soon as I got one of these, I was never going back to hand squeezed or any other way. This avocado is probably just on the hard side. Still good though. It's not like inedible. It just means that it's not quite soft enough to, still got to put some effort into it. Now I'm not putting garlic into this one because I want the taste of the lime to really sing, and the red onion. I'm just going to make a small batch today. I'll just use the 1 avocado rather than the 2 because things will be ready pretty quickly. Now, excitingly, I have been talking to a friend about possibly shooting some of these sessions from her kitchen. She's moved into this amazing apartment that has this gigantic kitchen, and she was a chef and caterer in a previous life. Hello Karina, if you happen to be watching. And I think it would be awesome to actually do a session from her kitchen, have her helping me film, because it can be a challenge doing it here just on my own. Okay. Especially when I've got to turn my back to you and I can't show you the kitchen. And one day I'll have a proper film crew. It'll be great. One thing at a time. Don't need too much red onion. I'm going to cut it really fine. It's probably about quarter of an onion, particularly given I don't have a lot of avocado in there. I think if I was using the 2, I'd use the full half. So cut it up roughly. I do like raw red onion. It's delicious. And I'm pretty sure everything behind me will be ready very shortly. And just a little vine ripened cocktail tomato, just roughly chopped. Nothing too fancy. Just chop that up, add that in, and voila, a very delicious, tasty guacamole to go on top. And then I'm going to cut a few sprigs. Coriander, this poor little plant is not very big at all. It doesn't want me hacking it all. Like normally I would use so much more than I am. I might actually see if I can get it to grow a bit, since it's in such short supply at the moment. There we go, throwing food on the floor. Favourite pastime. Also, like last time I made this, I chopped up a whole heap of coriander and actually added it to the taco mix over here as it was cooking, and that was delicious too. You can also try that as another addition. There you go, my coriander, my guacamole, just nice and rough. Doesn't need to be pretty. Okay, let's put some stuff away. Bench. Okay, that taco mix is well and truly heated through. These potatoes will be well and truly done. So what we're going to do now is take a cup of liquid from this. So I'm going to take it out in quarter cup lots, because to try and get a whole cup in there is going to end up spilling everything all over the floor. So I'm just going to take a cup, quarter of a cup at a time. Now this does it will have the occasional bit of, cashew or onion or potato in it. Oh, but that's okay. Obviously, the whole lot is all of those things will end up in here anyway. So 3 and 4. Now, because there were a few little bits and pieces, I'm just going to add just another little bit. Also, because it's going to be, it's fully cashews. Last time I made fully cashews, it came out quite thick. Okay, so we've got our liquid in there. I'm just going to drain the rest of this. And then I'm going to gently spoon it into that mixture. And gently, because I don't want all of this really hot water splashing back up at me. I certainly don't want to lose all that flavour. Okay, so in here, just everything in here. Onions, potatoes, and cashews, all divine with all that other delicious flavour. Screw on the lid. Ah! There's one thing I forgot. Our chips. Okay, we've got to get our chips on. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me work on this first. With my knife. I have 3 corn tortillas here. Oil-free corn tortillas. I'm going to put 3 on. I'm just going to cut them in half. Layer them on top of each other again in half. Cut them in half that way. Put them on top of each other again. And then cut those into thirds. Oops, that was a bit of an oversight. That's what I mean by how quick it is. Everything's done. Everything's done except my chips. Should have done that before the guacamole. Anyway, so let's throw this in here. Just scatter them. Doesn't need to be in any order. And then it's about 6 minutes. 6 minutes for all of that. All right, so I will put this on to blend. Come on. This. Be careful as you open it because it'll be hot. Watch that. Oh, it's so good. Oh yeah. And I remember how difficult it used to be making a cheese sauce. It used to take me years to work out how to not let it get, I mean a real cheese sauce, when you use the butter and the milk and the flour, and then you had to, make sure you didn't take the mixture too far, too hot, so it wouldn't get all lumpy and then you couldn't get the lumps out. How easy is that? So much simpler. Okay, so we have over here the taco mixture. We have our cheese sauce. We have our guacamole, and we've got a little bit of extra coriander that we can pop on top for garnish. What I'm also going to do is chop up another tomato. Use that as another bit of garnish. Any extra bits and pieces that you want to throw on top to garnish it as well, feel free to do as well. So talk to me while we have a little bit of time while those those tacos are cooking. What is it that you are? Hit the okay. Thanks for the tip, Tammy. Tammy says if you haven't read it, keep the avocado pit. It actually helps to keep the guacamole from going bad. I don't think this guacamole is going to last long, to be honest. But good tip. Thank you. I will remember that for next time. I hadn't heard that. I thought about maybe planting it, trying to grow my own tree, but to be honest, I don't have space for a tree here, and I don't really want to wait as long as it would probably take. Alright, so cut a few more slices of red onion, maybe a sprinkle on top. Yeah, so what's everyone cooking at the moment? Like, I'm keen to know who your favourite chefs are. If you've got any favourite recipes, please post them in the group, or even send them to me if you'd like me to attempt to make them here for everybody. Looking for new ideas myself that are going to be quick and simple and delicious for everybody. What temperature the air fryer? I usually do everything at about 180 Celsius. That's the kind of standard temperature that it comes up at, and I'm just putting it on for 6 minutes. I did a test run last night just to see how long it takes those particular tacos to sort of crispen up, go a little bit brown, but not overdo it. And 6 minutes seem to be about it. When I do my potato wedges, again, I do them at 180, and I would put them on for 10-minute blocks. After 10 minutes, I'll check them, I'll toss them around so that they get some even temperature, and I'll put them back in for another 10 minutes. Usually by the end of 30 minutes, they will be cooked. Sometimes a little bit less if I'm putting on just 2 or 3 potatoes at a time. Sometimes they'll just cook a little bit quicker. But yeah, usually everything I do is about 180, unless there's a particular recipe that I'm following that requires more or less. And I don't tend to use the air fryer for recipes as much. I tend to use it for baking because my dear old oven died 2 years ago, and really the whole thing just needs replacing. So eventually that whole thing, stove and oven, will be replaced. But for the moment, I'm just not able to use the oven at all. So I bought the air fryer specifically to do things like roasted vegetables or anything that might need to be done in the oven. What do you do in the air fryer, Wendy? Yeah, thanks, Zach. Welcome to the group. It is very, very tasty. I have I think this is probably the third, maybe fourth time I've made it, because I keep playing around with the recipe and how I want to have it. But yeah, it's very, very delicious. I think I made it, that's right, this will be the third. I made it the first time and it was so good that a week later I had to make it again. Oh, there's 6 minutes. Perfect. Okay. And then I thought, you know what, that would be a great recipe to make for you guys. Okay. Oh yeah, perfect. And just like that, we have corn chips. Oops, some of them are stuck together. So what I'm going to do is just oil-free corn chips. Beautiful. Okay, I'm just going to layer those in the bowl. Not in any particular, I'm not a food stylist. You'll see my food pictures and things like that are very, very rustic and very home done. I should get my friend Sally to do some proper styling for me. And then I'm going to, so I've got my chips. I'll get another spoon for this. A couple of spoons. I'm going to drizzle some of the cheese sauce over this. Oh, look at that. Can you see that? Drizzle it over the base. And then we're going to put some taco mixture on the top. I'm going to put a little bit, drizzle a little bit more of this on the top. Oh, it's so good. And just adding that little bit more water makes this cheese sauce just that little bit less thick and globby. And then, as you do, Nachos always needs a big dollop of guacamole on the top. Oh yeah, delish. And then I'm gonna put a sprinkling of red onion, sprinkling more of tomato around the top, around the edges, and then there they are. I'll cut a little bit more coriander to chop up and sprinkle on the top. OMG, fam. Look at that. Okay, gotta take a photo of that. That looks divine. Try and get the right angle here. Like I said, I'm not a food photographer. I'll pop those in the group for you later. But for now, screen for me. You can see the comments. Here you go. What do you reckon? It looks divine. It smells divine. And I am going to have a bite right now. So good. So good. Yes, Tammy, it is delicious. Alright, so that is the recipe, guys. If you want the taco mixture, like I said, that's from Plant U. It's that front cover recipe, which I think I said was on page 48. It's 148. Oh, I've just marked the page. 148 with black beans and with a bit of onion. And then my cheese sauce and my guacamole, which are both in my ebook. So I'm looking forward to hearing how you will go with making that. Let me know if you do make it and what you think. And for now, I'm going to say sayonara because it's my time to have lunch and eat. All right, guys. I will see you next time. Ciao for now.